Rang dang diddy dang dang ding. Rang dang diddy dang dang ding. White lines blow away. No, I know. I know. I'm not a singer. I know that. I'm a plant guy. Whatever. You know? I still like to sing. You don't have to listen to it. Anyway, so what are we looking at? We are looking at Betula, jacquemontii. We're looking at some seriously beautiful white lines here. Grandmaster Flash. They should have used this place for their video. I just watched it, you know? I'm like, geez, they could have done much better. They could have come here, have some beautiful babes laying around on the bench and, you know, doing whatever they do to make the song video that they're trying to promote the topic of the song. Anyway, as you can see, the apple does not fall far from the tree, and that apparently is the joke the owner just told me, who gave me permission to film their beautiful birch grove, because obviously birch trees do not create apples. So we are in Arinda, California, and right next to Lafayette, where I live. And here, I don't often talk about plants that are, you know, not subtropical or whatever. And but here I am, because I love this plant so much. I did a lot of landscapes for people in La Marinda, which is Lafayette, Moraga, and Arinda. And they all knew I was like the plant guy, or the exotic plant guy. But they're like, Gary, we want you to do our landscape, but we don't want any of those damn exotic plants. Can you just plant some normal stuff? I'd be like, yeah, whatever, just pay me. So anyway, I use this plant quite a bit in my landscapes. And so I want to talk about this one. It's native to the Himalayas. It's incredibly hardy. It's deciduous, meaning it's going to lose its leaves in the winter. And normally that's a bad thing, because I get sad. I have that seasonal disorder, you know, sad, seasonal area disorder, something like that. It makes you sad in winter. Well, that's because all the leaves are gone. It's cold out. But here with this tree, it's not so sad when they lose their leaves, because then you get to see the white bark that much more, and it's that much more striking when the sun hits it. You can see when the sun hits it, it's just lit like fire. It's like white fire. Look at that. So deciduous for this tree is not so bad. Lets the sun in, and here you can see that what they've done is they've played off of the beautiful architecture of the home, which also has what? Come on. What is it? White lines blow away. This doesn't blow away. Not a hurricane zone here. But you've got the white arbor over here. You've got the frame of the window. You've even got the rain gutters. They should have, I guess the alarm needs to be red. But anyway, you've got a nice white pillar here, which plays off of the white bark of the trees. And of course, the really super cute birdhouse, the bench, and the wonderful gate with the seasonal decoration here, because it is fall. And these trees very soon will be coloring up. You can see they're starting to turn a little bit yellow. Now, what's interesting is we are way up high on the hills. That's where I'm working today, over there. On the hills of Lafayette, we're at like 900-foot elevation. What does that mean? That means all the cold air goes down into the valley, and it doesn't get very cold up here. It needs to get cold to turn these leaves yellow. But pretty soon they'll be bright yellow. Even up here will get cold, but the trees down at the bottom of the valley are actually yellowed up right now because it's so much colder down there. Now, something else you can do with this tree. So obviously, I want to talk about a little bit about principle, landscape design, even art, whatever, making stuff look pretty, is the art of repetition, which causes amplification of effect. Repetition, basically more than one, right? More than one. If you have some item, some element that is really beautiful. In fact, I want to show you something. If you have a really beautiful element, say like one beautiful white birch tree, it's so pretty, right? Well, if you add two more to create a mass of them, it doesn't just make it 2 times prettier, it makes it like 5 times prettier. Excuse me. And and if you add another 5 or 6 or 7 more, it doesn't make it 5 or 6 or 7 times more pretty. It makes it like 50 times prettier. And if you add 13 trees all together in a group like they have done here, it makes it infinitely cool. And I like how what they did here with this grove, it's kind of on a grid, sort of, except where the 2 and the apples are. They break the grid a little bit. Then you have some random trees out here, but I like how they jumped the big wall and put a birch tree that escaped the design just to kind of keep it going. The other thing that's happening here, which is super cool, all kinds of subtle design elements that you don't appreciate if they're done well. They just blend in, but you really notice it if they don't. Look what we have here, folks. What do we have? What ugliness exists here? Is that a hint? That's a hint right there. We have a big giant utility pole here, and you don't notice that because all of the visual interest in front of it is capturing your attention. So we still see it, but we don't notice it. Now, what you can do when you have ugly things in front of you and you look directly at it, like I'll tell you, like here, for instance, it's really hard to not focus on this ugly pole from this vantage point. But when you take the interest away with something in front of it, then it just immediately goes into the backdrop, and your eye goes to what's directly ahead of you, as in these trees right here, and your eye stops on those trees, and it literally focuses out that which is behind it. So that's a really good thing to think about when you're doing landscape design. And of course, repetition and amplification of effect. When you have a really cool element, if you can find a way to use it in repetition, you will have an amplified effect. Now, the other thing that's happening here is anything that's really lightly colored in the landscape is going to reflect light away. Now, at night, that means that it's going to be highly reflective if any light gets on it. And since this is the key feature of this plant, the whiteness of the trunk, look what we have. We have a bunch of lights here. And we also have lights up in the tree. And of course, if you're going to use a light in your tree and your tree is white, your trunk is white, then you want to use a white light. So that was a really good solution there. So anytime you have silver plants, white plants, highly reflective plants, you light those things up at night and it's stunning. So I haven't been here at night, but I really want to come back and see what this is like, because I'm sure it's just gorgeous. And you can see even the light fixtures themselves sort of follow the cylindrical white theme of the garden. So this is really well thought out to have these repetition of shapes, and even in this column, this round column goes along with the shape of the birch trees. So this is a wonderfully mastered use of this plant. It's extremely hardy. You can use this pretty much anywhere in the United States. And the other thing that's happening here that I should mention is contrast. So if you have a white trunk, you really don't want a white ground cover backdrop. What do you want? You want a highly contrasting color. And in this case, green is the perfect one. We have Vinca minor here, and this is also native to Asia. It gets a purple flower in the spring, and the rest of the year it looks nice. And that's pretty much Betula jacquemontii, the Himalayan white birch tree, and that's how you use it. And this is one of the best examples of this plant, not of the plant, but of the application of the plant in the landscape. And so just, I know you're curious. I usually don't talk about non-tropical plants because, I don't often use them. I used to use them because I live in La Morinda, which is Lafayette, Moraga, and Orinda. And I used to do landscapes for everybody. And these people really want to kind of blend in here. They don't want to stand out and plant any crazy exotic stuff. Every now and then you find somebody. But I used to do a lot of landscapes before I really had my nursery going. And they said, Gary, I want you to do my landscape. But you know what? I don't want to use any of those freaky exotic plants you like. Can you just use some normal stuff? I'd be like, all right, whatever. And I'd pull out the birch trees, the Arbutus marina, the Tristania larinas, and oak trees, crepe myrtles, things like that would make them blend in, so they didn't feel like they were a dissenter. A dissenter. Like these people over here. These people are dissenters. They're not going to blend in. We're going to get this giant Phoenix dactylifera, and I'm going to park the crane truck right here. I'm going to crane, unload the tree all the way down there in that big giant hole. It's like a crater. It used to be a big giant pine tree. And then someday these people just moved in. This is going to be their first wave of exotic plants. Eventually we're going to plant stuff all over the place. We're going to plant a whole forest of tropical stuff down in there because it's shady. King palms and tree ferns and stuff. We're going to plant some queen palms out here, a Tipuana tree over there behind the barbecue. It's going to form a big umbrella over that deck. It's going to be really nice. We're going to be planting some avocado trees on this slope over here, and probably some other citrus on that slope. They have a nice pool down the back. And anyway, big plans for this property. It's going to be probably one of these projects that goes on for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years. And eventually it'll be insane. But just wanted to show you the people across the street. They said I could take a video of their yard. They didn't want to be in it, understandably so. But there you go. Himalayan white birch.